Everybody remembers the Forde report, which found the Labour Party had engaged in the weaponisation of anti-Semitism and also found a hierarchy of racism. Now, despite the report being commissioned under Keir Starmer, in which he chose Martin Forde to undertake the investigation, we now have confirmation that Labour have tried to silence Martin Forde because they didn't like what was in the report. Labour attempted to gag a prominent black barrister who authored a report that exposed a hierarchy of racism within the party, The Independent can reveal. In a letter sent by lawyers representing Labour, Martin Forde Casey was warned that he was acting against the party's interest after he gave an interview highlighting Labour's failures in relation to the report. Mr. Forde said the exchange had left him irritated, telling The Independent that the party can't silence me. Now, it's clear that as soon as the report dropped, no one inside the Labour leadership was interested, as basically it mostly painted the Labour right in a bad light. In which Forde confirmed on Al Jazeera, he straight up said no one from the Labour Party had contacted him. But since Forde spoke to Al Jazeera, Labour finally got in touch with Forde, seemingly threatening him. It has now emerged that the Labour Party sent Mr. Forde a robust legal letter seen by The Independent, accusing him of acting against the party's interests and advising him that it was considering all of its options. Lawyers excused Mr. Forde of having made extensive negative and highly prejudicial comments and questioned his professional conduct. Speaking to The Independent this week, the respected barrister said, "I don't know if it was an attempt to silence me. I mean, they've couched it carefully along the lines of, we're reminding you of your professional duties, which I found mildly irritating because I am a regulatory lawyer and I don't like my professionalism or ethics being questioned. But I felt it was more." He continued, "I'm a private individual. They can't silence me. I fundamentally object to people saying to me, you don't know how to behave as a professional. I'm afraid that black professionals get it all the time." Now just think about this, right? There is anti-black racism rampant in the Labour Party. We all know how Diane Abbott was treated by the Labour right. I mean, even to this day, the ordeal of her investigation and suspending her, keeping her in limbo despite the investigation concluding 6 months ago. Just look at how they treat brown people, how they ignored the abuse Upsama Begum received from her abusive ex-partner, who was also a Labour member. Yet the leadership hasn't stuck up for her. And look at how they treated Faiza Shaheen. Now, since the Forde report, Labour have gotten worse on racism. Then you have a well-respected black lawyer finding evidence of racism, then ignoring him, only contacting Martin Forde when he had the audacity to go on TV and truthfully declare that Labour hadn't spoken to him. So they're angry about the bad press. They're not angry at the racism. They want the racism to be ignored. And, dare someone say something negative about the party leadership, which is what Forde did. And now they're like, well, we're going to go after him. We're going to try and silence and threaten him, which is absolutely disgusting. And yet, this is still getting far less media attention compared to issues surrounding anti-Semitism under Jeremy Corbyn, once again proving the hierarchy of racism. But it's more than that. It's the hierarchy of racism in which Jewish voices are only listened to depending on their politics. Remember when Luciana Berger was receiving anti-Semitic abuse from the far right, in which the media painted it out to be Corbynite left-wing Labour members? Remember when her local CLP attempted to deselect her because she was undermining the party? I mean, people were outraged in her local constituency. They wanted Jeremy Corbyn to step in and save her from deselection. Of course, that made the news. You have those in the Labour establishment calling for Jeremy Corbyn to step in. Well, Upsama Begum was facing deselection from her local CLP, in which, by the way, that was a stitch-up from her abusive ex, and this was a personal vendetta against Begum. Yet, why did no one call for Keir Starmer to step in and stop her potential deselection? Is it because she's, brown and on the left? We already have a racist media, a political landscape that operates in the hierarchy of racism, which obviously the Labour Party operate in the same way, and in 2 weeks, they're going to be in government. And it's very clear that Labour is an incredibly racist party. It's anti-Muslim, it's racist against anti-Zionist Jewish people, and it's incredibly anti-black. Now, if you care about racism, then one of the things you can do this election is to not vote Labour. Everything here at Turn Left is still voluntary and work around our paid jobs. The goal is to have enough income to rent a studio and one day to start paying ourselves. Now, you can help us get there by supporting Turn Left on Patreon for £3 or £5 per month at patreon.com/Turn Left Media. Now, the channel has grown significantly with exclusive interviews, including Jeremy Corbyn and political party leaders. I want to see Turn Left continue to grow as an independent socialist media. Please give this video a like and share it widely. I'd also like to thank existing subscribers, members, and patrons. Thank you, and see you next time.